All right, welcome in Guerilla Hockey. Jesse and Evan here in Winnipeg in my hotel room to talk about the game. Evan, I mean, look, let's just kind of go right into it. I guess you and I were just saying that was a really fun playoff game. That was a really fun atmosphere. The True North, like when they yelled True North during the anthem, that was loud.
It was very loud. Everything was loud tonight.
Yeah, it
My
was.
ears hurt.
It was that like kind of ear piercing type of loud. I guess my first question is that how you saw this game playing out?
No, that was not. Like, if you're the Avs, you're like, this is the best start we could have possibly imagined. And then it just wasn't. And then everything about that game was not how you pictured it. You don't picture the best goalie in the world giving up 6 goals. And you might picture the Avs goalie giving up 7 goals, but just everything about that game was not how you expected it to play out at all.
Yeah, 100%. I was expecting this to be the Avs come out and win a 2-1 game or something like that. Georgiev turns in a great performance or like that's how I pictured, like one way or the other. Either Georgiev played well, but I thought it was going to be a tight game. Low scoring. So 7-6 is the final. Avs jumped out. I almost said to a 3-0 lead. 3 goals in the first. Really, really great start. I mean, like you said, I don't think you could have asked for anything better in terms of a start. By the time they actually break through, shots are 11-1. So not only are they generating offense, they're suppressing play on their side of the ice as well.
Yeah, I mean, the best defense is just you have the puck all the time. And that was what it felt like for the Avs first 10 minutes of the game. It was really crazy, actually. Because that was a loud building. Like, it's very easy to come in there and be intimidated by what you're seeing there. And the Avs they weren't. It was funny because the first minute, it was extremely loud. And then McKinnon got the puck in the neutral zone and everyone just shut up. And that's kind of how it was for the next 5 minutes because the Avs controlled everything. So, at one point, it was 3 goals on 4 shots on Hellebuck. And you're like, all right, we broke through this guy. And it just, there was no momentum to that game at all.
No. So I mentioned it a couple days ago on a show, but Kale made a comment to me. Shit, dude, this must have been like a month and a half ago. And he said something like, it was Columbus. It was the game in Columbus. I don't know if that was a month ago. I don't know what day it is. But he said, man, it just seems like, we were trying to build, and every time we turned around, we were fishing the puck out of our net. And I thought that was a little bit of a comment of like, it'd be nice to get a little bit of a save. And then he said it tonight. We realized we got to clean everything up. They're going to capitalize on every mistake we make. And that, I feel like at face value, that could be like, it's kind of a hockey cliche. But am I reading am I being clickbaity with that thought of like, that was a little bit of like okay, well, apparently we can't make any mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, these players they're not going to throw Georgiev under the bus. They're just not. But you can tell that they're like, enough is enough. I don't know. They weren't perfect defensively tonight. You're never going to be perfect defensively in any game, especially in the playoffs when you're playing good teams.
Yeah, everyone's good.
But, at some point you're like, can you make a freaking stop? I get, 23 shots. You gave up 23 shots and you lose a game you scored 6 goals in. It's just, if you're in that locker room, you're just looking at one guy. I have to imagine that's what's happening.
And I mean, dude, you and I were talking on the way up here, look, if you look at each one of those goals as an individual replay, sure, there are breakdowns that you can point to. There's guys that get lost in coverage here and there. One of the goals is a 2-on-1.
Manson throws a muffin up the middle.
Right. So each one individually, if you know no context and no backstory, you're like, you can't put those on the goalie. Here's my thing. I was texting someone during the game, and I said, Georgiev is just unfortunately at the point he's lost all benefit of the doubt. He's at the point where he doesn't get the, it's like, no. They've played the last 3 games. I guess if you don't really want to count the Edmonton. Well, he didn't play in the Edmonton game. That Vegas game, the Avs played near perfect and lost. Tonight, I'm not going to say they played near perfect, but that is a hell of a playoff game on the road, to your point, in a tough environment. You hung 6 goals on the guy that's about to win the Vezina, and you lost. I'm sorry, you are, like you said, enough is enough. You're just at a certain point where it's like you need to bail yourself out at this point.
And the thing about that game is if you're on that bench, under normal circumstances, I think he's pulled.
Yes.
Personally. They knew he wasn't going to get pulled because Arvid Holm was backing up. Like, if you're a player on that team, you're like, this is just what we're going to have to deal with tonight. Like, there's no backup plan. Literally, no backup plan. But, yeah, I mean, it's tough because that second period, I was like, okay, this game has kind of stabilized.
Yep.
And then the third period is just off the rails again. It's just so discouraging because I think if you're the Avs, you're looking at everything else you did, and you're like, we played exactly how we wanted to play.
Yeah.
And we lost.
Well, and not only did you play exactly how you wanted to play, I thought they got the Jets to play the way the Avs wanted to play. Like, they got them to skate and get into open ice a bit and off the walls. And like you said, somehow you end up kind of like on the losing end of the transition scoring battle and the odd man rush battle. And, you know, I made the comment. Also, I guess let's also pause. The fifth Winnipeg goal comes on the back of a brutal penalty call.
Yeah.
On, you know,
Was that the fifth? I think it was the sixth.
Was that the sixth? They all ran together there for a minute.
Yeah, the Nichushkin non-elbow.
Yeah.
That was.
And you know, they let so much go all night. The Avs didn't have a power play till after that goal. And I had someone, because I made mention of that because it was a really bad call. And I said, gosh, with as much as you've let go, to the point where you have one team that doesn't have a power play, it's tough to call that. And the person was like, on Twitter, they were like, well, you know, you can't just be relying on your power play. It's like, they scored 5 even strength goals tonight. They hung 3 goals up in the first period. I want to sit here and break this game down, but like, honestly, Evan, I'm just at the point where it's like, your goalie lost you this one.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing to say. Like, that fifth goal is weird, the Lowry one where it made it over the goal line by maybe
yes,
a quarter of a millimeter. Like, yeah, there's really nothing to break down here. Their goalie lost my game.
Yeah, it's so. Let me ask you, if you're Jared Bednar, and assuming health, because that's also like a crazy stroke of bad luck thing. You wake up on the day of game one where you maybe for the first time all season are willing to admit there's maybe a goalie controversy, and the one guy who's involved in the controversy is sick. Mm-hmm. If he's healthy and he can go, would you go to him to start game 2, or are you going Georgiev short leash? If you give up 2 goals that I don't like, you're done. Because you can only pull him once.
That's true. You can't really go back to him.
No.
If this game was like 5-4, I'd think about it. This game, he lost him the game. Like, I think you got to go to Annan.
Yeah. If
he's healthy. You're not going to Arvid Holm.
Yeah.
You're just not.
Yeah, I'm with you. Look, I said at the beginning of the playoffs, I said he gets 2 starts, and if he costs him a game, and then he's just not good enough in the other one, I think you go away from him. And the first box of that was ticked here tonight. He cost him a game, straight up.
He did. Great game ruined.
Great game. I mean that's as good of a road game 1 as you're gonna play. Do you need a water?
I do need.
I got a fresh water. Will you get a water out of my backpack? All right. Look, there were positives to take away from that game. Like, I guess that's the one thing that if you're looking for a spin, if you're the Avs skaters, I think you feel really good about what you did there, and that gives you maybe even a little bit of like, okay, they scored more goals tonight than they scored against them all season. Like,
that's literally about to say.
That's got to feel good.
You scored 6 goals on the best goal in the NHL. Like, you got to feel good about something. And it wasn't just that they scored goals. Like, they dominated that game, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. It's just, like, it was stupid mistakes. And, yes, there were mistakes. But, yeah, I mean, you just look at your goalie. Like, you got a second line. Everyone wants to see the second line. I thought the second line was awesome tonight. I thought Middlestad played great.
Yeah, he had a couple of really nice plays.
You get Val scoring. Like, you got the third line.
Kiviranta picked up an assist, man.
Yeah.
That's the kind of performance you're wasting. You got Miles Wood on the score sheet, Kiviranta with an assist. Like you said, the second line I thought was outstanding.
The only line, like, Zach Parise on the top line, like, he's trying. That line's going to be good because Nate and Mikko are on it, but, like, they're out of options there, I think. Like, that's the best option they have. But other than that, like, you got to be really happy. The fourth line almost scored. Like, you got something out of pretty much every line. It's just that, you didn't get a save.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, like we've said, like there's gonna be people that listen to this and like, oh, all they're doing is like, that's just the point that we're at. It wasn't perfect. The deserved to win meter, I believe, was at 75% or just shy for the Avs. Like, at the end of the day, they played really well. They got out to a fast start. They played with pace. They forced the Jets to get a little bit uncomfortable. They got pucks behind Hellebuck. They scored a power play goal. Like, they were fine on special teams tonight.
The one thing I said coming into the series is why I didn't want to play the Jets, and you kind of mentioned it, is like they always play their game. They're like, we're not going to stray from that. And the Avs finally got them away from that. And it's like, okay, that's something you can take forward here.
Yep.
Because for the first time all year, you figured out that the Jets, like, if you push them, they will open up. And they're, if you had a goalie that can make saves, I don't think they'd want to play that way. Like, they know how they are going to have success. So there's a lot of positives to take from tonight. It's just there's a cloud hovering over everything. And it's going to hover over everything for the rest of the series probably. Like, that's just the reality of it.
You took the words out of my mouth because I do. Like, I want to sit here and be like, okay, well, this happened and this guy contributed. There's so many good things that I feel like you could run down the list. But right now, yes, there's things you can build on. There's things you can be like, hey, we did that really well. Like, I think that's a great point. You got the Winnipeg Jets, the stingiest team defensively in the NHL. You got them out of their structure and you got them to kind of break down and soften a bit. And there's so many things I think you can build on in the performances of individual guys, but a cloud hovering over it, I think, is the perfect way to sum it up, because it's just like, yeah, but even if you build on it, is it going to matter? Yeah. Are you going to get a save next game? Like, if you come out and play a better game, what are you going to do? What are you going to go win 8-7?
Like, the thing that's just going to be stuck in my head from this game is, and I don't think the TV's caught it, is like that fourth goal went in. And Taves kind of got his stick on the puck a little bit. That might have messed up. But, like, he's skating away from Georgiev, and he just looks back at him. And it's just, like, that's when you're like, okay, these guys are probably, like, they're at their end. Like,
well, it just, they scored to make it 6-4. And, we're all sitting up in the press box. It's like, hey, there's 15 minutes left in this third period, and you're down by 2. Like, if you get even 1 in the next 8-9 minutes, like, you have plenty of time to try to get it tied. But you could almost just, like, kind of see it in their body language, and it's like, okay, well, we're within 2 right now. It'll be 3 in a minute.
And it was.
And it was. And it was just like that. Were there any of those goals that are like, well, I guess maybe the Manson one, but like, were there any of those for you that's like, well, what do you want him to do on that one in particular? Because, like, there's I keep going back to what Jared Bednar's talked about. Make all the saves you should, 1 or 2 that you shouldn't. I still just struggle to keep coming up with, like, saves that he shouldn't, that, like, stick in my head.
So a lot of people were defending that first goal, the screenshot, and, like, I get it. But we had a good angle up in that press box. Like, he made himself so small in that net. He's not covering a lot of the net, and it's just like, and that's just how he is. Like, he makes himself small sometimes, and that's a killer. Like, but, like, I don't blame him on the second one. Like, a turnover right into the slot. Like, what do you? You're not prepared for
8
that.
feet out from the net.
The third one was a quick play behind the net, and Manson loses his guy in front. Like, I'll give him that. But, like, yeah, we are at the point where it's like, just make a save. I don't know.
Hellebuck, to me, Hellebuck gave up 6 goals, but in that first period, even though he gave up 3, like, he made a couple big saves that kept it from, because when the Avs were pushing as hard as they were, that could have easily kind of gotten away quickly, and it could have been 3-0 instead of the back and forth a little bit. But he found a way to fight and scratch and claw a couple saves out when the team needed them, and that's the part that I think Georgiev is missing. You can live with your goaltender giving up a handful of goals. It's about for me in a game like this where it's really back and forth. It's about making a timely one. We need one right now. We need this save right now to keep the game tied, to keep us close, whatever. And those are the ones that I just feel like he's not coming up with. It's like when your team needs it the most, he can't. And Georgiev looks like he's in his own head now. Yeah,
and I didn't see after the 7th goal. People said he lost his cool again. I didn't see that.
Oh, see, I didn't see that either.
That's the thing that's like, oh man. Like, he's just 1 goal away from just losing it. I mean, he did make big saves, but at that point he had given up 4 goals on 10 shots, and it's like, well, Great. Cool.
You told me in the press box, I believe it was during the second intermission, you said, look, we can talk about defense all you want. It's really hard to defend 4 goals on 10 shots. Actually, you know what? Actually, now that I just said that out loud, I'm going to take it a step further. Not only is it hard to defend, like you were at the midway point of the game, and you're giving up 10 shots.
I think it was like 22-10 with the shots at that point. Yeah.
And so that's one of those things where it's like, okay, I really don't even want to hear about like bad defensively. They were great defensively the first half of that game. They were stingy. They held the puck. What was really standing out to me in the first period was how quickly they were shutting down any kind of opportunity. They were reloading. They were retrieving. I almost said recapturing. They were retrieving the puck, really well. Like they did so many things well, and then it felt like once the puck started going in, it just came unraveled. I don't even want to say unraveled, but they started allowing a little bit more sustained zone pressure, and then the Jets get the power play, and they're able to build on it a little bit, so it evened out the shots a bit. But yeah, when the Jets put their 4th puck in the net, what more do you ask for?
And Corey asked a couple of the players, and I think the coach too, like, is it tough? Like, how do you play when you know I can't make a mistake? Like, at that point, you start making more mistakes.
Yeah.
So it's hard to play, and it is a shame because, I mean, game 1, you go in there and you shut up a crowd, you play that well, and you can't come away with a win. It's just tough. They're going to have to do it again in game 2 and just hope somebody whoever's in net can make a save. Yeah, because that's when if you win tonight, you're like, cool, we're splitting on the road no matter what. Now the pressure's on.
Exactly. You're not in trouble till you lose at home. If you could have served up a loss to the Jets in game 1 after they went 3-0 against you in the regular season, just plant that little seed of doubt. Now, I mean, like, dude, we commented on it. They were putting pucks to the net from everywhere once those first couple went in. They were just like, just shoot it.
Yeah.
Just shoot it, and it might go in. And so
I don't blame them.
I don't either.
Everyone would do the same. And they still only end up with 23 shots.
Right. And so I think if you're the Jets, you're just saying, hey, just throw the puck on net. Just throw the puck on net. Even if we get dragged out of our game, just be throwing the puck towards the net, and we're going to put ourselves in a position to win. It's either going to take a change in net or an actual real bounce back performance from Georgiev, where he, for one game, outduels Connor Hellebuck.
He doesn't even have to outduel him. Like, just be good enough.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing with this team is, like, you just can't lose them a game, and they lost them a game. That's really all there is to it. Yep. And we've said it a million times. It's just, like, that's what's so frustrating. And that's why I'm like, if you're in that locker room, what are you saying? You watch the tape, and you're just like, well, we played really well.
Yeah. Do that again, I guess. And like you said, hope whoever's in there will make a save. Jared did say that he wasn't going to speculate on who the goalie was going to be. I was like, well, we're the ones speculating. We're asking you.
You're the coach.
So we don't have to speculate. But, yeah, I mean, he's not going to give us anything. I don't know. Anything else? I'm with you. As much as there could be to break down in this game, it comes down to you didn't get a save, man.
No, nothing else. I thought Casey Middlestead, first playoff game, played awesome. Like, he made the mistake on the 3rd goal, played awesome other than that. But there's a lot of encouraging things. It's just, the one thing we've talked the whole podcast about.
Yeah. The one thing that I think maybe my biggest takeaway was that game felt a little bit like from 2 years ago, like the Nashville blueprint of like, well, we're just going to run them out of the building. I thought the Avs responded really well physically, didn't back down, weren't afraid to get involved after whistles, finish checks, not Ryan Reeves running around to hit guys and lose your, like, I thought they answered the physicality bell well, and it almost seemed a little bit like in that first period it like stunned the Jets a little bit, like, shit, we pushed these guys all over the ice last week, and now suddenly they're hitting back and they're moving guys off the puck. That was my kind of big, again, from that first period where it seemed like the Avs jumped on them. It seemed like the physicality from Colorado took the Jets back a bit.
Yeah, I mean, physically, the Avs are not as big a team as this team, but they held up well. Like, I don't think you can have any complaints about that side of the game tonight. Like,
yeah.
The only thing I would say is that it seemed like Val maybe was getting, when he was losing his cool a little bit, and you don't often see that. And maybe that's something to look forward to and watch in the next game. I think he may have been really mad about that penalty call, which he should have been.
Yeah, should have been. Tucked arm, Scheifele snaps his head back, and they call him for elbowing. Val Nichushkin did one of the weirder things that I've seen. I'm a huge proponent of if you break your stick, just go get a new one anyways. He was on with a 6-on-5. He broke his stick and he got up and stood in front of the net. I was like, what? What
Sean Avery.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that's all I got, man. That's a disappointing one. I'll be anxious to see once they have a night to sleep on it. You know, if we get a chance to talk to him tomorrow, maybe what Jared says or the players say now that
they're practicing tomorrow. That's maybe the biggest surprise.
Yeah.
So we'll see if Eustace is there. I guess that's the big thing to watch.
I imagine that goes to an optional at the last second.
I know. Well,
but what?
That'll happen. Happens every time.
It happens every time. But I actually think, to me, it's all about is Eustace playing or is Eustace on the ice? If Eustace is on the ice, even if for a little bit, it's like, ooh, he's feeling better. And for the first time all year, man, I will say this. It is 10:11 p.m. on April 21st. I think we got a goalie controversy here, man.
I agree. Bednar's comments the last week have finally made me be like, oh, we're going to see both of them.
Yeah, I agree. I've been fairly confident all season. There's no controversy. They know who they're going to. Other guys can play well. It's fine. I think we got a goalie controversy here, man.
Best time of year to have it.
Yeah. You know, right as you get to the end, right as the most important time of year, that's when you want to be the least confident in what's happening between the pipes. Cool. Well, I appreciate it. Appreciate you stopping by. We'll see what happens. We got a couple more days here to make some content, so maybe we'll be back around. But
there's nothing else to do with this.
Dude, seriously. You know what? We'll save that for the next pod because that's a whole other thing that we could spend 20 minutes talking about. Avs dropped this one 7-6. We're up here in Winnipeg. Jesse Montano, Evan Rawal, Colorado Hockey Now. Was it Evan 10?
Yeah.
Evan 10 gets 10%
Still
off.
working.
Still working. He brings the best written content of anyone in Avs media, so make sure you're on that. But cool. Avs dropped this one. We'll be back with you for more content tomorrow from Winnipeg. Thanks, guys.